There are three popular definitions that the Bible ascribes to a fool. First is somebody that does not acknowledge God in his heart. Second, somebody that does not have a higher purpose than money. And third, somebody that cannot distinguish spiritual and natural things. And if we flip it, we'll see that there are three characteristics of wisdom: somebody who acknowledges God in their heart, somebody who has a higher purpose, and somebody that can distinguish natural and spiritual things. With this, I want to share 5 lessons from the wise men that we can take away with us. Number 1, they were wise because they sought the Lord. We know that they were influential men and rich men. They must have traveled in a caravan and with the exquisite and expensive gifts they got. That could not have been all they had. So for them to gift that, they must have had more. But that wealth was not a reflection of their wisdom. That wisdom is because they acknowledged the Lord and they sought after the Lord. So acknowledging God in our heart is reflected in our pursuits, in what we learn, the kinds of questions that we ask. What kicked off the wisdom journey of Solomon was his seeking the Lord. We know he was raised up by his spiritual father. I imagine him being one of the first people to hear the Psalms and to read the things that David had written that are still blessing us today. So that contributed to his wisdom. When he had a heart for God's people, then God gave him an understanding heart. So wisdom is reflected in our pursuit of the Lord, our curiosity about God, a desire to know him, to know more about him. There's also an aspect of wisdom here that is reflected in a desire to want to treat people right. When the Lord asked Solomon, "What do you want?" Solomon's request was based on a desire to lead people right and treat people right. Remember, foolishness and wickedness are a twin. So when a king desires to lead the people right, it is a reflection of wisdom. The second lesson from the wise men is that from the time they saw the star until the time they arrived in Judea, it was about 2 years. So for 2 years, they had kept pursuing the same thing, kept learning, and I don't know exactly how long the journey itself took, but the preparation, the learning, from the time they saw the star to learning where to go, to learning about who to meet, and finally arriving to Herod's palace was about 2 years. So the ability to be consistent for long is a reflection of wisdom. It is wise not to start too many things. It is wise to start and see things to the finish. The third lesson here is a willingness to learn from others. We see that even though they were called wise men, they still came by Herod to ask questions. They came to the royal library. They came to the custodians of the history of the people. And then they asked questions about a star, about a prophecy, about this and about that. So wisdom is curious. Wisdom desires to learn. We can see in Proverbs 1:7 and Proverbs 1:22, it says that foolishness hates knowledge. Wisdom loves knowledge. Proverbs 1:7 says, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction." So fools don't like to learn. Wise people like to learn. Number 4, we also see a smart thing that the wise men did. So they consulted authority, they followed protocol. Based on all the information they had, it makes sense for them to come to Herod, who was the leader in Judea at the time. So being people of influence themselves, they didn't just stumble into Judea and decide to figure out things on their own. They followed protocol. Who is in charge here? This is what we're looking for. Can you help us? And things like that. I feel like that's a lesson that we should learn as well. And the final lesson here, they are sensitive to the leading of God. So we know that indeed these people feared God in their heart. And I say that because by the time they had seen Jesus and presented the gifts, they wanted to go back to Herod to say, "Hey, we found him, But in a dream, they were warned not to go back to Herod. And they were able to understand that, they were able to obey. Wisdom does not despise instruction. So in all you're getting, get wisdom. In all you're praying, pray for understanding. Acknowledge God in all you do, and don't let time eat away your passions and convictions. And most importantly, be sensitive to the leading of God. That is the real secret of wisdom. God bless you.